right. Too good. I don't know what happened to my camera, but it went a little wacky. The pups and the cats get in here and goof off, and I know things get bumped all over the place. All right, so Facebook is good, YouTube is good. Fabulous. Need more light? Good enough. Okay, so I don't know. I was in here early even. Some days I have it together and some days I do not. Today is a not day. All right, so I'm kind of all over the place. No crap, right? So I've just got, I don't know, so much going on in the world, so much going on in my head, so much going on in my life, that I don't really have a real focus for today. So I'm gonna get on the mat and we're gonna see what happens. Remember, you can always skip something, add something more or less challenging, just kind of make it your own, and do what's right for your body. So that's why I don't really have a plan for today. We're just gonna see how it all shakes out. And it's nice, even though everything is so chaotic, it's nice to be able to have a practice where you can just let your body lead you, right? And once you've been practicing for a little while, or maybe the first day you walk on the mat, you know exactly what your body needs, and that'd be great. Right? But once you've been practicing for a little bit, it's very natural, right? One of the first yoga classes I was in, maybe 6 months practicing, and at the end, the instructor, basically had us down right before we were going to do Shavasana, and she said, "Now just do whatever your body needs." And I was like, "Huh?" No idea, right? So once you've been doing it a little while, you know exactly what she meant, right? And you do exactly what you need to do for yourself. So any day, any pose, whether you're getting ready to go down, you just need a little extra stretch here and there before Shavasana, or during your whole practice. Remember, you can always do what you need to do as long as, it's right for your body. You don't always have to listen to the leader, the instructor, the teacher, whatever you want to call them. All right? So today we are going to start seated. And remember to prop if you need to prop, certainly, right? Making your seat, your pelvis upright. And then bringing the heels to align in front of the groin as much as you can. Lifting the pelvic floor, pulling the lower belly in and up, tall through our sides here, but relax through the shoulders, tall through the crown of the head. And maybe this is where you decide, okay, it's my hips today, or I need to stretch my back, or whatever it is. Just taking this moment to be present on your mat, beginning to set your intention. Beginning to observe your breath. That always makes you feel better, right? And to begin today, let's just take a couple of really great big breaths. Just inhaling, and you can lift your chest, you can inhale through your mouth, whatever makes you happy. Just take a few great big breaths, enormous. And you can maybe open your mouth and let it out of your mouth, or whatever feels good. More like a sigh. Great big breaths. And if you haven't already, go ahead and close your mouth, breathing all through the nose. Taking deeper breaths, but not those great big ones necessarily. Trying to breathe more into the belly than your chest, right? So if your chest rises and falls with your breath a lot,
See if you can move that lower into your belly, letting your upper belly poke out and then retract. Coming to more of your yoga breath. And keeping your focus on your breath, your intention, the alignment of your body here. Let's go ahead and extend the arms out. With an inhale, stretch them up. And then exhale, bring them back down. Again. One more time. Inhaling up again. And then exhaling the right hand back to the mat, tipping to the right. Keep the pelvis rooted and the spine nice and long. Take a big breath. And then inhaling, come on up again. And we'll switch, taking it over to the left. Inhaling center. Back over to the right. And maybe bend your elbow more. Reach further away. Lengthening your spine, taking that stretch a little deeper. Coming back up on the inhale. And then the last time over to the left. Back to center. Releasing the arms. So let's bring that right hand over to the left knee, left hand behind the body. Easy little twist. Keeping the pelvis upright, sitting nice and tall. Don't worry about the depth of your twist just yet. Just kind of see where it goes. Very early. We're going to release that back to the middle and then switch, taking it to the second side. Releasing and coming back through the middle over to that first side again. Let's take this one a little deeper though. So stay upright on the pelvis, nice and tall through the spine. Try and keep this right shoulder back rather than reaching across your chest. Okay. And then rotate from your belly button. Rotate your side ribs around, rotate your shoulders, maybe turn your head. Just gently deepening that twist. Taking it a little more evenly. More even. Releasing that back to the center, unwind that, and then wind up the second side. So same idea. Take your time with it. And then unwinding that side. So hands to the knees. With the breath here, inhale, draw your shoulder blades together on your back and lift your chest. You can look up or not. Exhale, round it down, think forehead to belly button. And then just flow with your breath like that. Inhaling as you lift. Exhaling as you round. Take a few more flows, really get into the spine here. Should feel good. Let's take one more flow. And then find your center again, sitting nice and tall. We're gonna take the fingers and releasing behind the lower back. Pull the shoulder blades together on the spine, and then reach your knuckles toward the floor. So from here, you can hinge forward from the hip. Keep the shoulder blades pulling together and the knuckles stretching away. Maybe you touch the floor, maybe you don't so much. And just see where the upper body will release. Maybe bringing the belly button toward the heels. One more breath here. And with the inhale, gently hinge back up. Think of which thumb you have on top back there, and then release the hands. We're going to switch which foot is in front. So it should feel, well, I don't know if it should feel awkward, but it probably feels awkward. And then take the fingers and put your other thumb on top. Okay. From here, same exact thing though. Pull the shoulders together on the back, stretch the knuckles away, and hinge forward. Big full breaths and just see how it's different. One more breath here. And then we're going to hinge back up again. So go ahead and release the hands. We'll extend the legs out long. Feet hip bone distance apart, toes pointing up at the ceiling. We sit nice and tall here. Go ahead and stretch the arms up. And then hinge forward from the hip, just like we did when our legs were crossed. When you can't hinge forward any further, let your hands fall. So you may or may not touch your toes. Don't worry about that. Imagine leaning toward your toes from your chest. Keeping the spine long and just gently allowing those hamstrings to wake up. We're going to take one more breath here in our fold. And then on an inhale, come on up again. Release the arms. Bring it around onto hands and knees. So instead of being on tabletop here with the knees underneath the hips, we're going to move into a kneeling plank. So either a hands and handprint forward, knees and knee print back, whatever it takes. And you can stay in kneeling planks the entire time. You can move into full planks if you like. Make sure the four corners of your hands are even into the mat and the shoulders are neutral on the back. Right? Try not to let your belly hang. Right? Keeping that in mind with the rest of the spine as well. And again, if you want to lift into a full plank, feel free to go there. Pressing through the heels, nothing fancy. If you are still on your knees, of course, you can come up off your knees or move into child's pose. Or we're going to shift back into a down dog. So wherever you are, whether you're in down dog or child's pose, we're working with the breath here. We're inhaling, coming forward into our plank or kneeling, and then exhaling back into the down dog or child's pose. So just back and forth with the breath. Slow and controlled. Let's go one more. And if you're not already, go ahead and drop on down to your knees and sit in that child's pose. So here we're going to stay on the knees and shift forward into a kneeling plank. Checking in with the alignment. Staying even on the four corners of the hands. We're going to bend the elbows just enough to bring them in line with the ribs, and then stop and hover for a moment. Squeeze into the side ribs, keep the chest open, and then press back up into your kneeling plank and back to your child's pose. So again, coming forward, bending the elbows, that little halfway point, pressing back up, and then back to your child's pose again. So the more intense version is down dog into plank with the elbows bent and back to down dog, but you decide. Okay, so let's do it a couple more times in full planks or kneeling. Try not to rush through it. Slow and controlled. One more time. Holding in child's pose, you can hold the down dog if you like, of course. And then let's come forward into that plank or kneeling plank. We're going to bend the elbows again, but this time instead of lifting back up, go ahead and drop down all the way down to the belly. Taking the hands next to the side ribs. Again, keeping the elbows hugged in, not splaying out to the sides. We're just going to work with breath for a moment. So inhale, roll your shoulders up by the ears, together on your back, down towards your hip bones, exhaling to release that. So just a nice little shoulder roll. Take a couple more. And then just rest down for a moment. So we're going to roll those shoulders and we're going to add on. So just hold. Roll up, hold here. Ground down through your toes and imagine extending the crown of your chest forward. Use the arms to pull like you're pulling your belly button to the top of your mat. And then keep that as you start to extend the arms. So maybe they go straight, maybe they don't go straight. Try not to lock your elbow, make the muscles do the work. And then if it sounds like fun, lift your thighs. One more breath. And release. So we're going to go up like we went down. So keeping the elbows in, press down into the knees, and imagine pulling your belly away from the floor. Then, pressing your hands into the floor, lift enough to bring your elbows in line with your rib cage, all the way up and back to your child's pose. If you'd like to take your hands back by your heels in child's pose, feel free. Stretching the arms back out long again. We're going to work it back into our down dog. And just allow yourself to wiggle in down dog a little bit. So bicycling the heels, maybe shifting through the hips, shoulders. We kind of did the shoulders already, didn't we? settling into it, so pressing the chest back, sinking the heels toward the floor. We're gonna take the right big and second toe and straddle your left big and second toe and straddle the right heel. Use your left foot to try and reach your right heel toward the floor. Still doesn't have to touch, you're just getting this little extra stretch. We're gonna release that side. And then do the same thing on the second side. So the right toes helping that left heel toward the floor. And then release it. And maybe your heels are a little closer to the mat, maybe they are not. Let's go ahead and walk the feet to the hands, come to a standing fold. Little bend in through the knees, we're gonna roll up through the spine. Just stand. So here, take a nice big step back with the left foot and we're gonna straddle. So it doesn't have to be a crazy wide stance, just enough to challenge, right? It's early, so it may not be very wide. Toes point forward, bringing the hands to the hips. If you need to support with your hands on your thighs, feel free to do that. Keeping the spine long, belly's working. We're gonna hinge over into a half fold kind of place. Just starting to feel your stretch. Check in with your alignment. Keeping the heels and hips in the same plane, not the hips shifting back, right? So letting the hands stay on the hips. If you have a deeper fold, go ahead and move there. Lengthening through the spine. Just kind of letting your head hang toward the floor-ish. Releasing the hands to the mat. Bend the knees if you need to here. Take your index and middle fingers and wrap them around your big toes. Legs are straight if you can make them straight. Try not to lock your joints. Elbows out to the sides to help those shoulders stay together on the back. So maybe the knees need to stay a little bent, maybe just taking them straight is an accomplishment. You can pull on your toes to draw into a little bit deeper stretch. Find where it is. Release the toes. And then as we did when we were seated, take those fingers to interlace behind the lower back. Shoulders pull toward each other, knuckles stretch away, just like when we were on our boat. One more breath here. And then we're going to release the hands back to the floor. So let's go ahead and walk the hands over to the right, and we are going to lunge toward the top of the mat. You can have the back knee down in your lunges if you like. You can keep it lifted off the floor, whatever makes you happy. Just kind of wiggle around and through it. And then working to keep the knee over the ankle, right? So adjust your feet wider or more narrow or wherever you need to go with them to make that happen. From here, we're going to take that right leg straighter. Maybe you need to prop up, maybe you need to drop that back knee. Listening to your body. And let's go ahead and bend back into the knee. Keep the left hand where it is, bring your right hand to your hip and rotate around into a little bit of a twist here. Working to keep the hips square. Imagine the legs pulling toward each other, lengthening out through the crown of the head toward the front of your mat. we're going to release that. Take the hands, walk them back into the center of your straddle. Letting yourself hang again here, adjusting the feet wider or more narrow. Now we're going to switch sides. So take the hands and walk them over to the left. Left knee up, right knee up or down. And then just again, wiggling around to the hips a little bit here. Finding that center, imagine sweeping the legs toward each other, taking the left leg straighter. Bend back into the knee and add in your twist. Bringing the left hand to the hip and rotating around here. Releasing the twist, taking the hands, walking around into the center of the straddle again. So here, instead of having the toes point forward, go ahead and turn them out to the corners a bit, and you'll probably have to adjust wider or in or out a little bit. With the breath here, on an exhale, bend into your right knee, shifting the hips. Inhale, come on back to center, and then exhale over to the left. So you're going to go side to side like that, watching that the knee stays over the ankle, pointing in the same direction as the toes. So that's where your adjustment may need to take place. Once more on each side. When you're back to the middle, then go ahead and step the feet toward each other. Walk them in. Sliding the hands up to the thighs. Bring yourself into a half fold. And bend into the knees for chair. So even on the four corners of the feet, tuck the tailbone a little bit so you don't feel like your butt's sticking out. Hang on to the thighs, from center, extend the arms wherever you need to be there. Take another big breath. And then inhaling, stretch to the ceiling. Exhale, release it. All right. So moving in through our sun salutes, okay, taking a couple nice and easy, and then adding on. So 4 corners of the feet at the top of the mat here, nice and even. With the breath, on an inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, fold yourself forward. Halfway up on an inhale, support on the shins or thighs if you need. And exhale, step yourself back to plank or kneeling plank. And lower to the belly, those elbows nice and tight. Inhaling as you roll the shoulders, maybe a little pull or press, and then moving back to down dog. Inhale, step the feet forward into fold. Next inhale, halfway up. And then fold. All the way to the ceiling. And then exhale the arms at the top. So again, just like that, super simple. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale halfway. Back into your plank. And down to the belly on that same exhalation if you can. Inhaling cobra. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale, step forward, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Fold over. And then all the way up. And release. All right. So we do one more of those, like that, or modify if you need to modify, but you're on your own, right? So with your breath, your body, your breath, right? So if you get lost, just take a peek. Okay, let's go. Inhale and lift. And you're on your own. So we're going to add on to this next one. Remember your choice, right? Anytime you're in a lunge, you can drop the back knee, that in your mind. Let's go ahead and inhale as we sit into a chair. And then exhale over into the fold. Halfway up. Back to our plank. Down to the belly. Into cobra. Back to down dog. Inhaling, step the right foot forward for lunge. Toes all the way up there, back heel or knee to the mat, and we lift. Exhale, come on back down again, and step back to down dog. Forward into plank. Down to the belly. Cobra. And down dog. Left foot forward. Heel or knee to the mat and lift. Exhale, back down again. Down dog. Forward in for plank, last one. Down to the belly. Cobra. And down dog. So hold that down dog or drop into child's pose, you decide. Nice, easy breaths. If you drop down, lift back to down dog. With an inhale, stepping forward into the fold. Halfway up. Back over again. Into chair. Exhale, release. All right. So let's take another nice big step back with the left foot. We're going to work in warrior two here. So right toes point forward, left toes are cut in a bit. When we bend the knee, you want to see the big toe so you have the knee push. Extending the arms parallel to the floor. Big, easy breaths. From here, let's take the right leg straight. Reach forward over the toes, and then hinge over into triangle. So lean on the leg if you need to lean, but only if you need to lean. Try not to let your butt stick out behind you. Keep it tucked in line with the ankles and shoulders. And let's go ahead and bring that left hand to the hip. Try and keep your shoulders kind of stacked. Bend into the right knee and bring the right hand to the floor in front of the foot. Hopping your left foot in and lifting that up off the floor. So adjust your right hand so you can support a little bit. Trying to open the hips, open the shoulders. You can lift the left hand and look up toward the ceiling if that makes you happy. Take one more breath here. Release it all over into a fold. Taking a little bend in through the knees on an inhale, we're going to roll back up to standing. And work the second side. So, big step back with the right foot. Check out your feet. Make sure they're where you need them to be. Bending into the left knee here. Even on the feet, arms are parallel to the floor. We'll take the left leg straight, reach forward, and hinge into triangle. From triangle, right hand comes to the hip. Go ahead and bend back into the left knee. Hand, bringing that hand forward, and then hopping in until you can lift the right leg. Support with the left hand, and maybe use a block if you need to. Take one more breath here. Release it all over into fold. Letting yourself hang. And then this time here, go ahead and step yourself back into a down dog and drop all the way down into a child's pose. Give yourself a little bit of a break here. Next, easy breaths, just kind of refocusing. And then we're going to lift back into our down dog. From this down dog, we're going to bring the right knee behind the right wrist. Slide the left leg long back there. And then just drop the knee to the floor. You can leave your toes tucked under or take that foot flat, wherever it needs to be. And then maybe the right knee can move more to the right of the mat, or right side of the mat. And maybe your right toes can move toward your left hand. I'm having a right and left issue today, clearly. Okay. So the body wants to sort of lean over to the right and fall. Try to stay centered. Keeping the spine nice and tall. So making the adjustments until you feel a nice stretch. If this pose is not for you, don't do it. You can do this laying on your back too, if that's more accessible, if you have a knee thing. So staying up on your hands if that's you, maybe dropping down to the forearms. You can drop all the way down so your forehead's on the floor or resting on your hands or a block. Right? Keeping the spine long and the hips square to the top of the mat. Take just a couple more breaths here. If you're not already, make your way back up onto the hands. And wiggle yourself back into your down dog.
yourself a second, wiggle and stretch a little bit. Bringing the left knee up, right behind that wrist. Slide the right leg back a little bit, drop the knee, adjusting the left leg. So maybe your knee turns out, maybe your toes come forward, maybe neither of those things, it's fine. Making the adjustments that you need. Finding length through your spine, keep your pelvis level and even as you maybe come on down. Take just a couple more breaths over on this side. And then making your way back up and back into down dog. Let's go ahead and drop down to the knees and sit back in a child's pose. Coming to sit up on the heels. Let's bring the legs back around front. So it talked about being able to do that pigeon stretch that we just did in other places. So if putting your body weight pressure on either the knee or the hip is just a no-go for you, there's a couple more ways to do that. So finding your seat, sitting up nice and tall, reaching the arms. Let's hinge forward again like we did earlier, that first fold. Same idea. Keeping the spine long, and hopefully you're stretching a little deeper by now. And then we're going to hinge back up. Bend the right knee and grab your foot. So this may be as good as it gets, right? Some people's stretch is just, that's where it is, right? So like pigeon, you can let the knee move more to the right and bring the foot more toward your face. So you see that stretch, same idea. You can support with the outside, around the outside of the knee. You can support with the arm around the outside of the ankle, and that's more intense. But it doesn't have the pressure of body weight. So maybe this is what works. And then here you can be a little more mobile with it. Right? So sort of wiggling around, bringing the foot up and in. Maybe someday throw that foot over your head. Right? Don't throw it. maybe not, right? And then we're going to release that side. So it's a similar stretch, right? You see it? So bending the left knee, grabbing the foot, supporting the ankle and the knee. Wow. Right? And again, this might be as good as it gets. You can still work a little bit of mobility here. Yeah. Otherwise, supporting it with the forearm and the crook of the elbow here, bringing it up and in. Just find where the stretch is. And then release that side. So let's start with the right shin, parallel to the top edge of your mat. So you don't actually have to be at the top edge, but just so that it's that same direction, right? Keeping this right foot flexed. We're going to flex the left foot and that ankle, the outer ankle bone there, see if you can set it on top of your right knee. And maybe that's a, oh
Right? So in that case, it goes in front of the knee. And you get the same idea without the intensity. So you decide, maybe yes, maybe no. And, ideally the shins are stacked-ish. Bringing the hands to the feet, you can press the hands into the feet and the feet back into the hands. That helps kind of set your pelvis. It squares it up. Maybe this left knee falls a little bit more. And you can hinge forward if you're still looking for more sensation. So see what happens. Again, finding the stretch. It doesn't have to be super complicated to work for your body. And that's really why we're doing it, right? Let's hinge back up. Unhook that. And then switch to the second side. So, of course, the left shin has to be on the bottom this time. Keeping your feet flexed, parallel-ish to the top edge of the mat. Whether you take your outer ankle bone on top of the knee or in front of the knee. Finding where is enough. Keeping the feet flexed as you press your hands into the feet, feet back into the hands. Add your hinge here. Maybe none of those things. And each side is a little different. So just give yourself some grace. Poses don't have to look incredibly complicated to get the sensation, the stretch, and the work you're looking for. And let's go ahead and hinge back up and unhook the legs. Bounce around a little bit. And then make sure you have some place behind you to go and take the feet flat. So we're gonna work with boat pose for a little second here. Hanging onto the hamstrings, lift your chest so your spine is in a neutral position and lean back so that your arms are almost straight. That's roughly the place you wanna be. Hang on for dear life if you need to. You can leave the toes on the floor if you need to. You should be feeling your abdominals. If you're feeling your back more than your belly, bend your knees or lift your chest, or maybe come out of it, because we want to work the abs, not the back. The back doesn't have to do everything. Right? It wants to, but it doesn't have to. Lifting the toes, maybe taking the shins parallel to the floor, maybe extending the legs. Hang on or let go in any of those places. Right? So find what's right for you. We're going to hold. If they're not already bent, go ahead and bend your knees. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together, hanging onto the ankles. Let the heels come in, keep the chest lifted. And then keep the soles of the feet together. C curve through your spine, tuck your head, and roll on down to your back. Feet stay together. Let them come to the floor. And then just rest. You can come back here when we move into Shavasana if you really like it. For now, we're going to bring the knees together and then draw them into the chest. Let yourself rock a little bit. Massaging the back against the floor. So this final twist is always, choose the variation that's right for you. Opening the arms out into a T position, you can leave the knees close to your chest, you can take the feet to the floor. You can just let your shins fall to the right, or you can shift your hips left and then let your knees fall to the right.
just kind of play with it. Maybe take the legs straight, cross the knees. Kind of see where the body wants to be today. And sometimes you have to try a little of this and a little of that before you find out, oh yeah, that was the spot he needed, right? So just feel free to wiggle around and shift, adjust. Take just a couple more breaths on this side. We'll release that, come on back to center. And then start in the same place you did on the other side, right? So whatever variation you did over there, do the same thing here. But then just like before, if you need to add on something a little different on this side, then do. Taking just a couple more breaths over here. And then making your way back to center. We're going to draw the knees back to the chest. And rock again. Squeezing the knees in as tight as you can. Pull your forehead towards your knees and give yourself a hug. Releasing that into a full body stretch. And then releasing the stretch and making your way to whatever Shavasana is going to look like. So find it, right? Find the place where your body is so comfortable. If you want legs up the wall or the soles of the feet together again, if you want to do a seated meditation up against the wall, choose and then become still. Allow the muscles to release. Release control of your breath. Keeping the mind present and quiet. Just giving yourself a few moments to rest here.
Slowly draw in a deep, cleansing breath. And then let it go. Return small movements of the body. Allow yourself to gradually move and stretch. When you're ready, bringing the feet flat to the floor. Keeping your eyes closed and your mind quiet. Slowly make your way back up to seated. Sitting well. Bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. So it's all better now, right? All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, whatever, just holler, let me know. I think next week we're good. So have a great weekend and enjoy your week. And I will see you next Saturday. Bye. Thanks, guys.